One of the biggest things in the world that is the main or primary cause of, I could say, personal change. I don't want to use the word personal success here because that's kind of a cliche, but just personal change in terms of going from, where you are, how you feel about yourself, how you see the world, to more positive, outcomes. One of the biggest things one of the main sort of causes of this, the main sort of sources of this is really connected to your self-image and your self-belief. Something amazing happened today talking to uh, one of my students. So I've been teaching this girl for a while, and when I started teaching her, her self-image, self-concept, the way she looked at herself was quite negative. She's seen herself as a failure, and she was essentially reinforcing the different things that she had been taught uh, by teachers and also by other people, and people telling her she's not smart and so on. And basically, she had reinforced all these things inside of herself and began to see herself this way. And what this led to essentially was thinking that her future was essentially going to be one of failure and that she didn't really have much, what do you call it, prospects for any type of success on any level. Never mind school, but just any level, even beyond that. And thankfully, over my time teaching her, I was able to sort of shift, and I'm gonna hopefully continue doing this. I was able to shift her mindset and change it towards one of a self-image where she begins to see herself as able to do things and able to take on tasks and be successful yet, to gain more confidence essentially in herself. Well, the reason why, okay, this is so powerful, the reason why this is so important to think about is because essentially your self-image, and which is essentially the core of your self-belief, where does your self-belief come from? It comes from the way that you look at yourself, okay, your self-image, the picture of yourself you have in your head. It's extremely important to think about this and to make sure that your self-image is a good one because you won't do anything beyond what you believe you can do, essentially. Now, again, sounds very cliche, okay, because many people use this as some kind of speech to sell a course or something. But I don't have any course for you to sell yet. I don't have a course for you to buy. But I do have some ideas for you to think about, which is that, first of all, your self-image, much of the time, was not actually generated by you yourself. Okay, I have an idea which is called social self-image theory. I need to write more on it. Okay, I've started off, some essays and things on this, but essentially the idea is that, when you're growing up, when you're a small child, you don't really have a concept of yourself yet. You're just acting in the world. You're just, okay, now I'm walking, now I'm eating, now I'm sleeping, now I'm having fun, playing with my friends. You don't have a concept of yourself, who you are. You don't have any of these deep thoughts or questions, right? As you grow up, you begin to develop this thing which is called a self-image, and you develop it in part based on maybe your internal self, maybe your natural things which you're drawn to and natural gifts and talents and all that. But in large part, you develop your self-image based on the things that the people around you say to you and how they treat you, how they make you see yourself. That makes sense. For many of you, okay, including myself, many of the things that you see negative about yourself were not things which you first identified yourself. These are things which you began to believe due to how other people sort of pushed them onto you. For example, some of you might not believe you're very smart because maybe you gave an answer in class one time and everyone laughed at you. Or the teacher said, "Why did you say something like that?" Yeah, as horrible as a thing as that is to say to a child. You had the experience and then that made you think, "Oh, well, then I must be stupid. Yeah, I must not be very good at things." Maybe you tried something one time and your boss, shouted at you in an aggressive way, and now it made you scared of trying new things. Yeah. Maybe as you were growing up, you had a very critical parent and they were constantly judging you, and now you judge yourself. Yeah. The point is that much of our self-image is not actually based on our own choosing, but it's like imported. People push it onto us and then we internalize it and begin to believe it. This is important, and I tell all of my students this, the same thing, especially if I notice that they have confidence issues or they have certain specific self-esteem issues and things like that. It's very important to recognize, okay, because if you don't realize that your image, the negative parts of your self-image were not your own thoughts, then you'll begin to believe that they're true and you'll begin to believe that you're the one who came up with them in the first place, when that's not the case. Why do you believe something that someone else told you, especially if it's something bad, right? Especially if the person who told you it doesn't really care about you, or if they care about you, they said it in a moment of anger or emotion, some stupidity, ego, arrogance, insecurity on their own part. They're putting onto you some own issues that they have. Why would you keep that with you? Why would you accept that? Okay, there's no reason for it. So there's the first thing, okay, just to identify and realize that much of your doubts, much of your self-criticism, much of your ideas of yourself as a failure and a loser and all that, much of it is not actually from you yourself, but it comes from other people. Okay, and therefore it is essentially irrelevant. Okay, it doesn't matter. That's number one, to identify. And then number two is to now realize, okay, that you can begin to change your self-image. You can change it. You have access to it. The picture in your head can be altered. You can repaint it. Okay, as many people have done. And the way that you do this, as I said in the other video, is you essentially begin to think about, okay, who would you actually like to be and who actually are you? You know, what are you naturally drawn to and who would you actually like to be? Give yourself a chance here. Give yourself a chance. What if you could choose, what kind of life would you like for yourself? Give yourself a chance. Don't doubt it. Don't judge it. Don't say, oh, no, that could never happen for me. Just give yourself a chance here and then take action to begin to change things. And you'll see, okay, that with work, you can change your self-image and you can change even how you feel about yourself, how you act, how you dress. 10 years ago when I was 19, the way I look now, okay, was not the way I looked then. Okay. 17, 16, 15, I barely attended school yet. I dropped out of school. I know 10 people that have been to prison. Okay, I've sent them letters and things. Yeah. One of my friends who I grew up with, he's doing life for murder. Um, when I was growing up, pretty much my own self, I was heading towards either dying or going to jail. Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. I was on a very destructive path, yeah, because I didn't know who I was, and then all of my mentors, all of my role models, all the teachers that I found were all extremely negative. They were all negative. And still, thankfully, okay, I was able to sit down, pause after having a breakdown. Was able to pause, reevaluate, okay, and make a plan, which now thankfully has led me to being in this position where now I am hopefully a net positive, even though I'm not perfect yet, and even though I've got a dark side and all that, and I do still do things which could be considered unethical, although I try not to. I try not to hurt people on purpose and all that stuff. But still, I'm not perfect. But the point is, okay, now I'm way more positive. Okay, and I'm a way more of a benefit to my own self, my own life, my family, and the people around me, and the wider world, I hope, than I was back then. Yeah, back then I was essentially net negative. Yeah, destructive to myself, and destructive to other people. So the point is, okay, you can change. Yeah, that's the point. Is there's no there's no time limit. There's no thing that's too difficult, as in you're too stuck. Excuse me. None of that is applicable, okay? None of that is applicable. All you have to do, okay, is just decide and make the commitment. You decide, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't like how it feels. This way of living, I don't like how it feels. I don't like waking up this way. I don't like, having these thoughts. I need to do something. I need to change. And then that's it. And begin to work on your self-image, analyze, the things you think about yourself. Where did you get them from? And like I'm telling you, much of them will be from other people. Slowly, slowly, okay, let them go, yeah, cut them off and begin to change how you think about yourself and come up with a plan and slowly take the steps. And you will see massive change. Yeah. You will be able to see massive change. So, anyway, I hope that's useful and I hope it benefits at least some of you.